Thank you.
And when the recording is over, I'll be sending a link to Lydia, and she'll be able to distribute it to whoever needs it, okay? All right, so let's get started. First things first, I'm not going to give a traditional demonstration the way I would if I was trying to sell the software to somebody. Happy to do so at any point if you guys want to see how I do that when I'm dealing with a standalone spa that's not part of a resort or hotel. But also, I want to make sure that your questions are answered. That's more important than me just going through traditional training. So feel free, please, to interrupt me at any time with any questions that you might have, because as I get going, sometimes I'll just run right over you by trying to get a lot of information out in a very short period of time. We do some live classes sometimes right here in Los Angeles. We get clients to come out and we hold live classrooms, and that's 2 8-hour days. So you really could spend 16 hours just learning about the software. To show you as much as I can in 1 hour is, and of course we can reschedule this and reschedule this and reschedule this as much as you'd like. I would very much need to make sure that our IQWare partners are as familiar with the software at some point as someone like me. So yeah, we certainly can do lots and lots of trainings for you guys as often as you'd like. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is the DARCI system. And the reason that I want to show this is because it's one of those items that really separates us from a lot of the competitors out there. When people say, you know, we were looking at this software or we were looking at that software, most of them don't realize exactly what it is that they're talking about, to be honest with you. A lot of them are sold a bill of goods by some of our competitors as far as some of the things that their software can do. Not that their software can't do it, in conjunction with something else. Let me explain what I mean. For instance, there's a system out there called DemandForce. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, and don't hold me to this exactly, because it's certainly possible that they have changed their pricing. But DemandForce charges, last I checked, $299 a month. And that $299 a month is their starting price. And the reason I mentioned DemandForce is because so many of the spa softwares out there use DemandForce to do the things that DARCI does. And DARCI is included in the software. So there is no additional $300 or more a month in order to take advantage of these features. And that's why I mentioned that company in particular. And of course, there are other situations just like that, where many of our competitors have third-party companies that you have to pay extra for in order to start doing extra things like texting or staff-wide emails, just all sorts of different things. But let's first talk about DARCI. So I'm going to click on DARCI here. Well, first of all, what is DARCI and why is she called DARCI? DARCI is the Daily Automated Reminder and Client Information System. Okay, and so because that can create a funny little acronym, we decided to treat her as though she were an employee. Given her the name DARCI, even given her the outline of a woman here. She has 5 major jobs. Now there are other jobs that she can do as well in the system. And as long as you've got your DARCI up and running, then she's going to be doing all of those things. But there are 5 major jobs that you have to essentially instruct her to do. And before you can do so, you have to essentially hire her. And you do that by setting up the account. So it says set up account here. So again, how we got there was we clicked on the DARCI button, then we click on set up account. Then the spa will fill in this basic information. It is very basic. Business name, the address, city, state, zip, and telephone number. And by the way, these can be converted to say province or postal code, etc. if we're dealing with Canada. Business website address is the spa's website address, or perhaps the hotel or resort's website address, but normally they have a link directly to their spa. That link should be here. The business email address. Now this, I need you to understand what this is. Obviously, we all know what an email address is, but this one in particular should be perhaps the manager or maybe an info for the spa. Why? Because DARCI, one of the things that she does in many of the jobs that she does is send out emails. And when she does that, if a client or a staff member, if anybody responds, replies to an email, it must go somewhere. And so whatever email address you have here is where it is forwarded. So it's very important to understand that what you put here under business email address is where the emails that DARCI receives will get forwarded, okay? So she sends out an email, somebody replies, it goes to whatever you've put here. Now, next is the owner's email address and owner's email address too. Now, there's two of them simply because there may be more than one owner or more than one manager, whatever it may be. Of course, there could also be a single owner, perhaps, that simply has a home address or a business address as well, so you can use both. You don't have to use both, just like I've chosen, to put in Matt W. and Maureen here at Pro Solutions, but you don't have to use both. So it could just be one, and it could just be a manager, it could be HR department, whatever. But what's important to note about these addresses, they are different than this one. Remember, this one is if anybody replies, whereas these, there are certain things that DARCI believes are for the owner's or manager's eyes only, okay? And so when she sends those emails out, she is going to be sending them to these two or one email addresses. There are certain things that she says this is for the owner's eyes only. And as long as you've got an email address in here or both, then it'll be going out to them. Next, we've got upload logo. Real simple. You press on upload logo, and then you're going to be able to do just that. Browse the computer to find the logo you want to upload and hit upload. After a few seconds, it will show that it has been successfully uploaded, and you hit close. Why is that important? Because every email that goes out should have the customer's logo on it so that it doesn't look just like, blank text that got emailed out. We want it to look nice. So having their logo on it, having the color background, having their social networking icons on it, etc., that's going to help it dress it up, look like a professional email that's coming out from the business. So adding that logo is an important idea. However, a couple of things you need to know. If this is a directly installed version of IQWare and that's how, by the way, I'm going to be referring to this software. And whenever I do a demo for any of your customers, I will always refer to it as IQSpa or IQWare. I never refer to it as Pro Solutions or Transcend. Now, and yes, I do demonstrations for IQWare. I had a number of your salespeople set those up for me in the past. It's been a little while since I've done one, but I'm always happy to do them for you. And we set up a go-to meeting under the name IQWare. We even changed the color schemes on the buttons so that it's bright orange, and we teach it as though it's IQWare Spa, and whoever that salesperson is in the meeting as well. Even though I'm giving the demonstration, anytime somebody starts talking about back end, the hotel interface or pricing, etc., I always ask them to refer to that salesperson who is in the meeting. So I just want you to be aware of that. Now, getting back to this, the installed version of the software. You can upload a .gif, a .jpeg, a .txt, or a .png, but it must be 500,000 bytes, in other words, 500K or smaller. However, if it is the cloud version of the software, you can only upload a JPEG. So once again, for your logo, you can only upload a JPEG in the cloud version. In the installed version, any of these will do. One of these four will do. Okay? All right. After we have uploaded our logo, now we've got the text account username and text account password. This is optional. You certainly do not have to use texting with DARCI, because everything DARCI can do via text, she can do via email as well. And texting can have an additional cost associated with it, whereas email does not. And the DARCI system is a certified email marketing system. And what that means is that whether you send out 5 emails from DARCI or 55,000 in a day, you will not get marked as a spammer, etc. Just like if you were using something like Constant Contact or MailChimp or GoLoyal or any of those others. Again, the text account option, if you want DARCI to do certain things via text, you must have the account username and an account password. We can provide those to you. But once again, if you exceed a certain number, you start getting charged for them. There's a very limited number. I think it's like 350 free texts a month, which for a standalone spa might be sufficient for their appointments and things like that, especially if they're only doing appointment reminders via text. That might be just fine. 350 appointments in a month might cover it. But one of the problems that we had, and one of the reasons that I'm so adamant about making sure you understand the difference between this and email, and you know the physical difference, but we had, perfect example was a resort that had 60,000 clients in their database, okay? Now that doesn't sound like the most in the world. I'm sure you've got clients with quite a bit more than that. But my point is they had 60,000 cell phone numbers, 60,000 people that they could text. Remember, I said you get 350 for free. You get about another 1,000 for about $20. I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to get that, contact us and we'll tell you exactly what the numbers are. But I think it's another $20 for about 1,000 of them. Well, what they did was they set up an automated text that went out to everybody 4 times. So they ended up sending out 240,000 texts that month. And they got a bill, and it was a big bill. And the spa, while it was part of the hotel and resort, it was responsible for its own charges. And they got a bill somewhere in the range of about $2,000. So I can assure you it can, going email only can be a very smart way to go. So I want you to understand that. But again, if they're going to be using it limited, then that's just fine too.
Matt, don't they also have to have
written,
written permission to use a person's text phone number?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm talking about 60,000 valid text accounts. So in other words, for instance, in the client file, let me go ahead and just pull up Miss Babcock here because I use her for everything. Where are you, Miss Babcock? Oh, I'm not even using my right data. Hang on just a second. There it is. Okay. Pull up Miss Babcock. Okay, so here you'll notice I've got confirm via text or not, promos via text or not, confirm via email or not. Oh, excuse me. Now it's already on. This is confirm and that's not, and this is email promos and that's not. So by this being grayed out, they will not get promotions via text. By this being grayed out, they will not get text via text. I mean, reminders via text. I do that, and now they can get promos via text. So I do have to ask, and once I've asked, I activate, but it is default off. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And of course, if a customer does receive a text that they didn't want, they can also reply with a stop command, which will prevent them from getting texts in the future. I want you to be aware of that as well. All right. Now, we are coming out with push notification, which is going to save a lot of headache for a lot of people who are especially worried about lawsuits for people who are getting unwanted texts. They can remove texting from their system altogether with push notification. And with push notification, they will be able to offer their customers the ability to download a free app to their smartphone. And with that free app, they can do all sorts of things. They can book appointments in the spa, they can buy a gift certificate from the spa, but more importantly, they can communicate directly with the spa via text. The only difference is because they have installed that application, and it is the spa's application, and there is a notice on it that they have to accept, then there is no longer any question as to who is and who is not receiving the information that the spa wants to send, whether it be text or email. Okay? All right, going back to DARCI. So, going back to setup account, we have now put in our text account username and password or not, and then we come over here to the right, and we've got our optional account information. These are our social networking sites for the hotel or resort's spa. If they're not separated, then you can put in the site for just the hotel or resort rather than the spa. That's fine. But the important thing to note is that you are able to go to the hotel's Google Plus site or Yelp site or City Search, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram, copy the URL, and paste it right into this field. By doing that, everything that DARCI sends out will include that icon for that, for instance, Google Plus icon or a Yelp icon or a Facebook icon. And that gives the clients or the staff, whoever receives that from DARCI, gives them a quick and simple way to click on a button and be taken directly to that page. Okay? So you simply go to the business's Google Plus site, copy the URL, and paste it right in here. Once you have done that for whichever they have or whichever they want, for those, I believe that's 7 items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, it's for those 7 items. And of course you can leave blank any they don't use, like for instance I've left City Search blank. Then you're done with setting up DARCI. Where it says online gift cards, scheduling, and retail, we are going to ignore that entirely. Okay, there's a whole other place now where that's going to be, and this is no longer included, and that will be removed eventually. Okay, but right now it's still there. Just ignore it. After you put these in, you press save, and it will tell you that your settings have been saved, and I can exit out, and DARCI has been hired. Now let's talk about what she does. The first thing that she does, we've already discussed very briefly, confirmations via email. So I'm going, and of course via text. I'm going to go here to my email confirmations. And I get to use variables. There is a little information I here. I can click on that. It will show me the variables that I'm able to use. So this might say the name of the spa right here. This is the service that the customer is getting. This is the name of the provider, the service provider. This is the date of the appointment, the time of the appointment, the client's first name, and the telephone number of the spa. So an example of this might be something like this. IQWare Spa appointment reminder. Hi, Sally. Remember that you have an appointment for a European facial with Lydia on September 30th at 11 a.m. Please arrive 15 minutes early to unwind. So that's an example of what you can have. You get to write whatever you want using those variables just as you see them. So after you have written what you want, then you get to choose from 1 to 4 the number of potential messages that are going to be sent. Now, I say potential messages. Why? I've chosen 2 in this case. And then I say 2 days before their appointment, I want this message to go out. And 1 day before their appointment, I want it to go out. Well, let's say you're not using software and you're a regular spa. You're just a regular spa, you're not using software at all, and you need to confirm your appointments. So what do? You pick up the phone, and you call somebody who's got an appointment maybe the day after tomorrow, if that's your policy, or maybe tomorrow. You call them and you say, hey, Matt, this is Lydia calling from such and such spa, and I wanted to make sure that you remembered your Saturday 11 o'clock European facial. Oh, absolutely. My gosh, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. She got me on the phone and I have confirmed the appointment. Okay. Well, the next day she wouldn't call me again. Well, DARCI does the same thing. When she sends this message out, it has your logo on it. It's got your social networking icons on it, but it's also got a big blue button that says click here to confirm your appointment. And if the customer presses that button on this one that went out 2 days before their appointment, it will mark the appointment confirmed directly on the appointment book. But she won't send out the next one because she checks to see if the appointment has already been confirmed. If it has, she stops sending them out. So that's why I say it's the potential number, because I might have said 4 messages. And if they confirm on the day 1, then she's not going to send any others. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? I'm going to take your silence as a yes. So once I've written what I want, once I have selected the number to go out, once I have put in the days in advance, then I check this box that says active and I press accept. Then I get to forget about it from that point forward. Because every single day DARCI is going to run, and every single day she is going to analyze your appointment book for tomorrow or the day after or whatever you've selected for up to 7 days out, and she is going to send out the necessary email reminders. Again, only, or text reminders, only if the customer has in fact said that they allow confirmation via email or confirmation via text. If they have not allowed that, they won't get that email. So what happens if I've got, let's say, 75 appointments tomorrow, and DARCI is able to contact, let's say, 60 of them? There are 15 people that did not give any approval for email or text. In fact, they specifically said, I'd rather you call me. Okay. Well, then I'm going to go to every day, I'm going to go to appointments, and I'm going to go to my appointment confirmations. And this is where I'm able to select everybody who has an appointment for me for a particular day. Let's just jump back here to today, because it usually defaults to the following day. And it'll show me a list of everybody who's got an appointment, in this case, today. Normally, like I said, it's for tomorrow. So I've got a list here of everybody who's got an appointment, let's pretend tomorrow, and only those people who have not received an email or a text from DARCI. Now I can, however, say, no, I want everybody. Show me everybody, whether they accept emails or texts from DARCI or not, or no, just those people who are not being contacted by DARCI. So I can have that list, and then when I click on somebody, I can quickly call them, confirm, left message, or couldn't reach. And I can do that until I'm done with the list. The nice thing about this, though, is that hopefully I'm going to call 15 people instead of 75 because DARCI handled the other 60. So moving back to DARCI, we've set her up. We have set up her confirmations. You can do the same thing via text. The difference via text is that there is no artwork. So there's no logo, there's no social networking icons, there's no big blue button that says click here to confirm. So you must include this line, reply Y to confirm. That's how the customer is going to confirm their appointment, and it works the same way. If they reply Y, it will mark it confirmed right on the appointment book. Also, another thing you need to know about this is that when sending out a text confirmation, you are limited to 140 characters, and that includes the subject line. So there's going to be much less information here than there is potentially here. With the email one, I could have all sorts of things, including my cancellation policy. But with my text, it's going to be much less information. Okay? All right. Then I've got the next thing that DARCI does. So that's job one, the confirmations and reminders. Job two, the email campaigns and text campaigns. Now, these are the automated campaigns. Can the software do manual marketing? Of course it can. So that you can say, I need a list of all of my, I don't know, blonde women with acne, you know, whatever you want. Yes, you can do that through manual marketing. DARCI marketing is a little bit different. It's automated marketing. And so it potentially can go to everybody, hence the 240,000 texts that went out one month. It can potentially go out to everybody. So how does it work? Well, we've got over 20 different templates to choose from, including the ability to create your own template. Now, each one of these, even though there's a template, there's no verbiage in there. You're going to create your own. So let's talk about one of them. Let's talk about birthday. So at the spa, I've decided I want to communicate with my client base that allows me to send promos before their birthdays. So I'm going to click on birthday. Then the question becomes, how many times do I want to communicate with them prior to their birthday? And I've got 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm going to choose 4. Then I come over here. So look what happens when I choose 1, or 2 in this case, just 2 messages. 1, 1 message, and 4, 4 messages. So now that I've selected 4, I get to say, when do these go out? Well, these are going to go out prior to the date. Almost every promotion is going out prior to the date. So of course, what is the date? In this case, the date is your client's date of birth. Hopefully, you are collecting that in your client file. If you're not, DARCI can't send it out to them. No date of birth in there, not going out. So I've said I want my first message to go out 30 days prior to my customer's birthday. Second message, 14 days. Third message, 7 days. Fourth message, on the day of their birth. Remember, if I had a 1 here, it would be the day before. So a 0 is on that day. And you can choose anything from 0 to 30 in this case. All right. Now that I've selected my date range, I've said what goes out 30 days prior. Click on first message. I get to write an email. Again, it can be fairly lengthy. I can write whatever I want. So, happy birthday, Lydia. Happy birthday, Lydia. It looks like you'll be celebrating your special day in about a month. Now understand, I know this is going out 30 days prior. That's why I say in about a month. And if I use this variable, the open caret BD closed caret, this is going to insert her date of birth. So be sure to come before. Let's pretend her birthday is October 29th, because this is going out a month before. Be sure to come before October 29th is what it would say there. For a birthday discount to look and feel great for your special day, please print out this email for 5% off all services prior to October 29th. If you choose to book your appointment online, blah, 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 blah. Now, you write whatever you want, and you get to choose your font. Every font that you've got installed on the computer will be listed here. You can choose the font size, bold, underline, italics, etc. Then, after you have written your subject and written your body and made it as fancy or not as you would like, then you get to choose your artwork. And you might look at the artwork that is pre-provided for you, and you might absolutely hate all of it. Maybe not, but you've got 8 different pieces of artwork to choose from. And whether or not you, every time, by the way, I say you, of course, I'm talking about perhaps the spa manager. Every time you pull up a promotion and you go through the artwork and you do not like any of the artwork that has already been created for you, then you are able to click this one, Upload Custom Image, and you can upload your own artwork. And we are happy to supply you guys with the specs for those banners so that the customer can make them themselves and upload them. Okay? Again, though, uploading the banner is just like uploading a logo. It's got to be a GIF, excuse me. I hate GIF. My son says GIF. A GIF, a JPEG, a text, or a PNG. And that's if it's installed. If it is in the cloud, it can only be a JPEG. And it must be 500K or smaller, just like the logo. Okay? So you upload that. You've got your own custom image in there, and then it would look like this, custom campaign, instead of an image that we've pre-provided. And once you're happy with it, you hit Save Template and Exit. And then you move on and do the same thing for the second message, the third message, and the fourth message. And you can do that for everything you see in here. Things like Valentine's Day and Mother's Day. Everything you can imagine, pretty much, is already in here. And if there's something that is special to your hotel or resort, specific to them, not necessarily countrywide, well, then we've got promotional, where you get to put in your own date of holiday, whatever it may be, and then do everything else exactly the same way. There's no pre-made artwork. It'll just have your logo duplicated twice, or you put in your custom campaign, which is what you should do for a specific promotion. Okay? Any questions on that?
Not a question, Matt. I just wanted to tell you that this is exactly what we're needing. So we were right to keep you and move forward with you.
Very glad. Very glad to hear that. Okay, so now remember I said that almost all of the promotions go after the date. So of course, if it's Valentine's Day, the date is February 14th. If it's Christmas, the date is December 25th. If it's, excuse me, not after the date, before the date. I said that wrong, before the date. If it's the birthday, it goes out before their birthday. If it's Valentine's Day, it goes out before February 14th. Whatever, so almost all of these promotions go out before the date of the holiday or important date. However, there are 3 that are different. Those are the 3 that go out after the important date. So what are those 3? Well, let's talk about probably the 2 most talked about ones. Lost client, that's the biggie. Lost client goes out after the date of last transaction. And your option, instead of 0 to 30, is 30 to 360. And so what's happening here is that, remember I said it's the date of last transaction. That means I can say if a customer has not come back in 3 months, I want them to get this first message. Because that's what I've selected here. I could have chosen another time frame, but I've chosen 3 months. If the customer completely ignores this and another whole month goes by, they're going to get the second message. If they completely ignore that and another whole month goes by, they'll get the third message. If they completely ignore that, I skipped a few months. So 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then 8 months. And perhaps, you know, that after the 4th one, and that not get them to return. Now I need you to understand another thing here. If the customer has a future appointment, even if they haven't been in to see you in 3 or 4 months or whatever it may be that you've selected, if they have a future appointment, it will not send out the email, so you don't look foolish. Okay? All right. That's the lost client. There's another one that goes after the date, and that is follow-up. Follow-up is one of those that you could do something like this. Oh, instead of 4, I'm just going to do 1, And the number of days, again, 1. Remember, this is going out 1 day after the date of transaction. So that means yesterday. Everybody who visited me yesterday will get whatever message I put in here, and I choose my artwork. So it might say something like, thank you, Lydia. Lydia, thank you so much for visiting us yesterday. We hope everything went great for you and look forward to seeing you again. Please print this email out for 5% off your next visit. Again, that's what I wrote. You write whatever you want. And of course, you get to choose your own artwork you can choose any of the 8 pieces of artwork that we've already created for you, some of which are very nice, some of which you may not appreciate as much. The point is that at any time you can upload your own custom artwork if you don't like any of the 8 images that we've already pre-created. Okay? All right. We're done talking about the marketing campaigns. Now we're going to talk about notifications. Do you remember earlier I mentioned that DARCI has certain things that she believes are for the owner's eyes only, or manager, or whomever email you put in there. That's where we get into notifications. Now, not all of these are suspicious activities, but most of them are. So what do I mean by that? DARCI, in this case, can kind of act like a manager that's looking over the shoulder of the person at the front desk. When I've selected certain ones that I think are important, others not so much. But this one here that I've selected, when a cash payment is voided. So when a front desk staff member voids a cash payment, the owner or manager, or whomever email that was, gets an instant email from DARCI that says, hi boss, it's DARCI. I wanted you to know that a cash payment was just voided on transaction number blah, 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 on this date at this time. Now, if you're using password protection on that particular function as well, then DARCI will not only tell you what happened, but she'll even tell you who did it because of the password that was used. So a cash payment was voided on transaction number 12345 on September 29th, 2016 at 12:41 p.m. by Lydia. That's what she does. And I get to go through here and choose what I want to be notified about, like when a price is modified at the point of sale, or when rewards points are adjusted, because that's rife for fraud. You know, it costs 1,500 points to get this service for free. My friend's only got 500 points, so I'm going to dump an extra 1,000 points on his rewards account. Well, DARCI's going to let you know. Well, I'll tell you something. Even though many of these are ripe for fraud, the truth of the matter is that 99.9% of the time, the employees are decent people. And they're doing all of these things for legitimate reasons. But isn't it nice to know that the boss gets notified when some of these out-of-the-ordinary things happen? When a client file is printed, this one has already become helpful for us. We've had a customer contact us and say, DARCI caught a thief. She found out at 2 o'clock in the morning that one of her employees had printed out a list of all of her customers' telephone numbers and addresses. Of course, you know why she did that. She was planning on hanging her own shingle right down the street. Other things like when you make over a certain amount in a day. Now, this is not a suspicious activity, but it's just a little target goal. So you might say, you know what, today's goal is $2,500. And DARCI says, hey, you did $2,500, and it's 10 o'clock in the morning. That's fantastic. But DARCI might also say, hey, you hit $2,500, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and maybe that's not so great. Or maybe DARCI never sends you the message because you didn't hit $2,500 today. And that number can be anything you want, of course. Depending on the size of your spa, that could be $25,000. All right. Now, again, some of these that aren't suspicious, like this one, email tomorrow's schedule to operator. Every single night, DARCI can email every one of your staff their schedule for the following day automatically. You set it up for a particular time and never think about it again. Every night, they get an email, hey, Matthew, it's DARCI. This is your schedule for tomorrow. Now, let's say that I work 5 days a week and I don't work on Sundays and Mondays. I'm still going to get an email on Saturday night that says, this is your list of appointments tomorrow. And then under that, it'll say, you have no appointment scheduled. And then I'm going to get an email on Sunday night that says exactly the same thing because I don't work Monday either. And then on Monday night, I'll get another one that shows me my appointments for Tuesday. So I will get this email 7 days a week, whether I work 3 days a week or 5 days a week or 7 days a week. Some of them just will simply say, you've got no appointments. Okay. Now, what if you've got some staff that you want to get their schedules emailed to them and others that you don't? Don't worry about that. In the operator files, you can choose those that receive it and those that don't. But none of them will receive it if it's not checked here. This one here, email closing report to the boss. It's an employee that closes at night, perhaps, hours after the boss has left. Well, not a problem. Let's say she set it for 7:30 that night, and she just forgets about it. Every single night at 7:30, the boss will get an email from DARCI that says, hey boss, it's DARCI, here are tonight's closing numbers. Every night, whether the boss is in the shop or not, she'll get that email, okay? All right, so notifications, and you're simply going to choose which are important to you, and then you save it. That's job number 3. Now we've got job number 4 and job number 5. By the way, can you tell that Darcy's going to take up our hour? When we're done with this, our class is probably going to be over, and if you'd like, Lydia, I'm happy to schedule another class with you immediately for the next feature of the software.
That would be awesome, yeah. I mean, Darcy's really important to a lot of our clients.
Sure.
And then we have a client actually next week, Taos Ski Valley, that is extremely interested in the online features too. So
absolutely, and so we could schedule it. If you'd like, we could schedule an online training as early as tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm fine to do that.
Fridays
so
tend to be good for us. We try not to schedule a whole lot with clients on Fridays, so
I don't
Fridays
know if
are
you
good.
noticed about Pro Solutions, but we close our offices at 12 o'clock noon every Friday.
Wow, half-day Fridays.
Yeah. Well, for some of the employees, it's half-day Fridays. For others, it's time for meetings. So, but
right.
Yeah, we close on Fridays at 12 noon, and so yeah, I totally get it. Okay, so moving on, we've got our service come again, and we've got our retail buy again. Those are the other 2 jobs. Remember, I said she's got 5. We covered 3: the confirmations and reminders, the campaigns, and the notifications. Those were the 3 that we've covered. Now we're going to talk about the come again and the buy again. And these are the things that when I'm talking to a standalone spa, I often get the, oh, thank you. Oh my gosh, I need that. So I think you're going to like these quite a bit. The first one is that we're going to talk about is the buy again. And the buy again is referring to our retail products. So I'm going to talk to you very quickly. Even though most spas don't deal with shampoos, I'm sure you have some resorts that have salons in them. I know one of our clients is, in fact, a salon at the Beverly Hills Hotel. So what we're talking about here, I'm going to say a shampoo, and I'm going to use as an example my Justin All-in-One shampoo. And along with that example, I'm going to tell you that it's a 20-ounce bottle. And I'm going to tell you that I tell my customers to use 2 ounces of it every other day. Well, if you're using 2 ounces of it every other day, which is essentially an ounce a day, then you're going to run out of those 20 ounces in about 20 days, 3 weeks. Okay? So what does the buy again do, and how does it work? You've probably already guessed it. I'm going to go to inventory here, and I'm going to pull up my Justin All-in-One shampoo. And I've got this little feature here that says buy again. And I can activate it just by turning it blue there. And now I get to write whatever my subject is that I want. In this case, my subject says, your Justin All-in-One shampoo is running low. And then my body says, if you've been using the shampoo like I told you, then you should notice that you're either out or running low. Please print this email out and bring it in with you for 5% off your next purchase within 30 days. By the way, do you notice that I use that whole 5% off in the next 30 days business a lot? I do. Just so you know, I do that a lot. Maybe when you're talking to your spa customers, you might reference the fact that there has been a number of studies that say when you are contacting somebody that is a real worker. It really does work to get them to respond to the email positively. Okay, so anyway, you get to write a message like this. You've got your subject, you've got your body, and you get to choose from 1 to 52 weeks. Now I know that my Justin All-in-One shampoo, if it is used the way I normally suggest it be used, it should run out in about 3 weeks. Not being that guy that honks the horn the second the light turns green, I've set it for 5 weeks. I'm giving my customer an opportunity to run out and then find time to come in and buy another bottle before they get hit with this email. It is a one-time email. So it's not abusive, and of course, it's part of the promotions, meaning if your customer does not accept promotions, they won't get it. So now I want to tell you about one of the caveats here. If your customer returns, obviously if they return within 5 weeks, it's going to reset the clock. That's the whole point. But if they return and they buy something in the same category, it will once again reset the clock. And that was very important to add because people sell things in different sizes. And sometimes somebody might come in and buy a 20-ounce bottle of Justin and like it so much that 3 or 4 weeks later, they bought a 30-ounce bottle of Justin or a 40-ounce bottle of Justin. Great. Well, because remember, the different sizes have different SKUs. They've got different barcodes. They've got different prices. They are a different product. And therefore, if somebody didn't return to buy the 20-ounce bottle, they might have received an email that says, hey, your Justin's running low, when they just bought a 30 or 40-ounce bottle just a few days earlier. So once again, it makes you look foolish. So that's why we added that if they buy a product that is within the same category, it will work as if they came back and bought that product again. It will reset the clock for them. So they'll never receive this email as long as they come in within 5 weeks to buy a shampoo. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so that's our buy again. The come again works similarly. I'm going to go to setup and I'm going to go to my salon and spa services. And this is where something that Eric showed you yesterday, how to create groups and services. So I can go here to something like massage, that's my group. Then I can go to a service like my Hot Stone 60. And then I've got DARCI right here. And I've got my DARCI come again. And if I click on that, once again, I've got my drop down from 1 to 52 weeks. I've got my subject and I've got my body. So let's do one that I've already set up. Let's go to my physical therapy 60, go to DARCI. So let's pretend that I've said, hey, I'm a med spa. And if you get a physical therapy massage, you should be repeating it at least weekly. So I'm going to set this for 3 weeks. If you get a physical therapy massage and you have not returned to my med spa within 3 weeks, you're going to get this email. Don't neglect your physical therapy. I know that a busy schedule can get in the way of your muscles' health. Don't let it. We see you've missed your last therapy cycle. Call today to schedule. Now, again, in this case, it's saying, hey, they have not come back in this amount of time, and therefore they're going to get this email. However, if they have a future appointment booked for that service, it won't send out the email. Once again, protecting you from looking foolish. Now, there's another thing that is very helpful about that particular feature, where it won't send it out if they have a future appointment. Picture this. What if you had a service that you believed should be repeated every, I don't know, let's say 12 weeks. Maybe it's like a permanent, and you were a salon, for instance. Or maybe it's a laser treatment in a med spa, or an acne treatment, or something like that. And you say, okay, it should be repeated every 12 weeks. Instead of saying, hey, you missed your cycle, you could do it differently. Let me try something a little different here. Let's go with waxing. And let's choose a bikini wax. And let's say that a proper bikini wax should be done every 4 weeks. God, does that sound painful. But let's just go with that. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to my DARCI Come Again. And I'm going to choose, I said it should be repeated every 4 weeks, so I'm going to choose 3 weeks. Now, why would I do that? I'm going to say, don't forget that bikini line. That's my subject. And then my body is going to say something like, we see you haven't scheduled your next bikini wax. And I can put the actual service name in here because it's only referring to that particular service. So we see you haven't scheduled your next bikini wax. Don't let the summer fashions turn you into Sasquatch. And yes, I'm writing this because I actually read this from one of our customers one time. Made me laugh so hard, I use it now when I teach. Anyway, so something like this. But the point is, the reason that I'm going here with 3 weeks, even though it shouldn't be repeated for another week, remember, if they don't have a future appointment booked, if they have a future appointment booked, it won't send out the email. So if they've got their bikini wax booked for next week, they won't get this. But if they don't have it booked, they will. So it can work in reverse. Instead of, hey, you missed your appointment, it can be a, hey, don't forget to book an appointment. Does that make sense? Do you get that?
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Okay. I hope I didn't make anybody uncomfortable with that. All right. Now, once you have set up the jobs that you have created for DARCI, then you get to determine which of those jobs she's actually going to do. You have these 4 checkboxes. So if you're doing confirmations or campaigns or both, this must be checked. If you're going to do end-of-day functions, and end-of-day functions, what I mean by that is, for instance, she can't send out a closing report if the closing report hasn't been done. She's not going to send your staff their schedule for the following day if you're still accepting appointments. So end-of-day functions are those things that she's going to do at the end of the day, obviously. And then the come again and the buy again. So you've got these checked, and then you get to choose from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. when they're going to run. We generally tell our customers, we recommend that the confirmations and campaigns, if you're going to run them, should be run at least a half hour after you open for the day. That way, especially if it's an installed version, maybe you lost power the night before or something like that, you walk in, your computers are all down, uh-oh, that gives you an opportunity to bring the system back up so that DARCI can do her job. And if you are an installed version and DARCI shut down for any reason, maybe the computer went off, had to be rebooted, you must get DARCI back to work by pressing this button that says Run DARCI. And you'll see down here, DARCI is running. Now, if you're in the cloud, that button doesn't exist. She's always running 24/7. Don't have to worry about it. End-of-day functions, we recommend to our customers at least a half hour after you close, your latest closing. So if you close 3 days a week at 5 o'clock and 2 days a week at 6, then we're talking about 6 o'clock, not 5. And it should be at least a half hour after you've turned out the lights and walked out the door. Why? Because, again, you don't want her trying to send a closing report if you haven't closed yet. So you determine when she is going to do her end-of-day functions, and you choose that time. Again, from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. are your options. And then the come again and the buy again, we generally recommend that whatever time you set for your confirmations and campaigns is the time you set for your come agains and your buy agains. That way you just know that they're all going out at the same time. You don't have to worry about what went and what didn't go, etc. At any time, you are able to go into reports and go to marketing and go to DARCI reports. And this will allow you to run a report on any of your campaigns, including your appointment confirmations. And that's important because it can actually show you for a date range who opened their messages and who didn't, who responded, things like that. Okay, so those are there for you as well. Guys, that's the class. That I know we only focused on DARCI, but I am happy to reschedule another class where we can cover the online store tomorrow, and we can keep doing these as we go over each and every feature of this software till you guys are not only comfortable with doing what it can do, but also just comfortable knowing what it can do so that you can sell the product appropriately. Lydia, would you like to schedule a class for tomorrow?
I would, yes.
Okay.
Because starting next week, a lot of my installers go on the road, so I want to make sure.